Not get over how good my skin looks. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Faye, and for today's video, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be testing out a bunch of new makeup. Some of it is new releases and some of it is just new to me, but I figured today I would just sit down and share a bunch of new products that I haven't had a chance to try and just try them out with you guys here on camera. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I'm coming at you guys barefaced today so that we can jump right on into the video. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in and we'll get started with the eyes. Alright guys, so I went ahead and zoomed you guys in. I also went ahead and primed my eyes off camera and applied my little e.l.f. line and define tapes. To prime my eyes, I used my NARS concealer, which looks like this. Just a little pot concealer, and I used the shade Caramel. I've been loving these. They're nice, full coverage, matte, thick concealers that really kind of just smooth out the eye. It's giving me a really nice smooth base to work with. And then I set it down with my Urban Decay All Nighter, which is a pressed translucent powder. So we've got a nice smooth base to work with on the eyes, and now we can go ahead and go in with the star of the show. I am testing out a couple of other new products, but really the star of the show that inspired this whole video is this new eyeshadow palette from Patrick Ta. So this is what the packaging looks like. Beautiful mauve pink packaging. And yeah, I saw this palette and I was on the fence initially about picking it up, but the more I saw people using it and playing with it, the more I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. So this is what the front of the packaging looks like. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it because it is a mirrored packaging. So everything is literally reflecting onto it. And then when you open it, this is what the inside looks like. So we have some shimmers across the top of the palette, and then we also have some really nice mattes along the bottom, and then over here on this side you have two cream bases. So I'm not for sure what kind of look I want to do today, but I'm going to try to use a couple of different shades just to kind of, you know, give us a little something to work with. So to start, I think I'm going to go in with one of the cream bases, and let's see what kind of brush. Let's use this one. This is my Sigma Precision round brush, nice synthetic brush, and I'm going to go into, I think, the top one, this top shade, which is a little bit of a darker brown. I haven't watched any of Patrick Ta's videos specifically explaining, you know, the best way to use this palette, so I'm just kind of gonna wing it here. I do kind of feel like this base is a little dark for a base. I wouldn't typically put a color this dark on my lid. As you guys can see, I pretty much kind of like lightened my lid, but I'm sure there's probably good reason for it. So I'm just going to apply that on the lid, and I'm also going to kind of just blend it up into the crease just to prep for the transition shade. Okay, I also went ahead and took off my robe for now because I am literally burning up. And by the way, the shades are on the back of this palette, but I always have a hard time matching the shades from the back to the inside when they do it like that. I usually prefer that they just put the shades on the inside of the palette, so I'm gonna just point to them as I go just to make sure that I'm not telling you guys, you know, the wrong shades. So next up, I'm gonna go in with a fluffy blending brush, and I think I'm gonna go in with this shade right here, which is a nice kind of neutral matte brown shade, and we're gonna buff and blend that back and forth in the crease. Now I will go ahead and say that the shadows are blending really nicely on top of that base. I don't notice that they're really skipping at all, and the shadows are also applying a little bit darker to the crease because of that cream base that we put down. So if you don't want the shadows to be to lean a little bit darker, then you may want to skip the cream base or maybe only apply it on the lid. Don't bring it into the crease. But since I am more of a like tan to dark or like medium tan complexion, I don't mind that they're showing up a little bit darker on the crease. I would rather have more pigment than not enough. So next, I think I'm going to go in with this red shade, which is showing up a little bit lighter on camera, this one right here, than it actually is in person, but it's kind of like a nice brick neutral red shade. A lot of the colors in this palette, they don't really lean super warm. They all are kind of just very in the middle, which I like, because a lot of the palettes that I have, they do lean pretty neutral, or I'm sorry, they do lean pretty warm, which was part of the reason why I decided to pick up this palette, because there are a lot of shades in here that are similar to shadows that I have, but not exactly the same. Okay, so the mattes are blending like butter. I could honestly just leave it like this and throw on a liner and lash and go, but I do want to play a little bit in some of the shimmers. So let's see, I think I'm going to use, I kind of want to play with more than one. So I'm kind of leaning towards this one. You can see how it just kind of pops out of the palette. It's kind of grabbing my attention, and this one is too, so maybe I'll layer a little bit of this one on top. But I'm going to start off with this shade right here and apply that all over the lid, and then we'll go from there. I'm not going to apply any Fix Plus or anything like that, because I just want to see how the shadow by itself is going to perform. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that on a flat shader brush and start applying it to the lid. Okay, so this is really pretty, but now that I'm applying it to the lid, I'm realizing it's giving like pressed glitter vibes, which I probably could have figured out if I had read a little bit, but you know, I just wanted to just dig right into it. So I am now going to apply a little bit of Fix Plus. You guys see how it looks on the eye without it. It looks good. I mean, I could just keep applying it and packing it on, but I can tell it's a little bit sheer, almost like I said, it's like a pressed pigment that either needs to be applied with Fix Plus or needs to be applied on top of another shadow. So I'm just going to wet my brush a little bit and then continue applying that to the lid so that we can get a nice, smooth, even application. Okay, so this is how the eyes are looking with just that one shadow. Now I'm going to go in with this one right here. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of that right on top. And I think I'm just going to use my finger this time. So this is what it looks like. Really beautiful, metallic, kind of peachy shade. And I'm just going to press that right on top. Oh yeah, that's pretty. So these kind of remind me of like those liquid glitters, kind of like those Stila ones, except in an eyeshadow formula. So if you are not a fan of those like liquid shimmers, then you would probably really like these. And you can see the difference, how this eye just pops more after adding that on top compared to this one. Both eyes are beautiful, but this one is definitely giving what it needs to give. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with this little tapered brush. This is from Morphe. This is the JH40. It's just a tapered blending brush. I'm going to go back into this kind of brick reddish brown shade, and I'm just going to blend that across the top of that shadow just to make sure that there aren't any harsh lines, because I feel like right here in the inner corner it's looking just a little bit harsh. So I kind of just want to diffuse that just a little bit, and then because this brush is tapered, it's also going to help to define the crease a little bit more while also blending out the shadow. Okay, super pretty. And then as a final touch, which this really is not necessary, but I just kind of want to test out as many shades in the palette as I can, I'm going to go in with this dark brown shade, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that on the outer corner. Okay, and then just to kind of buff out the edges, I'm going to take my translucent powder. This one again is from Urban Decay, the All Nighter powder, and I'm going to pick up a clean brush and just kind of put a little bit of that powder on the brush and just kind of buff along the edges because I don't really want to add any more color out here. I just want to blend it up into the brow. So just going to use a translucent powder. A little trick for you if you want to be able to go in and just kind of blend out those edges, but you don't want to potentially like bring any more color up on your lid. You can use a translucent powder and a clean brush and it will accomplish the exact same thing. Okay, so this is how the eyes are looking. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply a liner and a lash. I don't have any new eyeliners to try, so I'm just going to use my regular eyeliner, which I have been loving. I mentioned to you guys before, the Rare Beauty, what is this called? Rare Beauty Perfect Strokes Matte Liquid Liner. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that and then also figure out what kind of lash I want to apply, and then I will be right back to start on the face. Alright guys, so liner and lashes are on. Eyes are starting to come together. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the face. And the first thing I'm going to put on my face is this Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. I don't know if you guys remember, like back in the day, probably at least 5 years ago now, everybody was using this. So I shared this with you guys. It's been a little while now. The last Sephora haul that I posted from the last Sephora VIB sale, I picked up a little deluxe size version because I never ended up trying it out back when it was popular. Oh, it smells good. But I was like, you know what? It smells citrusy. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and see if the trend is still hitting for what it used to be, even though I'm super late. But it feels really nice on the skin. It literally just feels like a moisturizer. I don't know that it really did anything for my face, but it does say that it's for normal to oily skin types, rich in feel, never greasy. It is a moisturizer. This unique moisturizer nourishes skin with shea butter and vitamins B, C, and E while creating the perfect base for flawless makeup application. And it says with daily use, skin looks and feels its best. And you can use it morning or night. Okay, so everybody used to use this as like a primer. It's not a primer, it's a moisturizer. So yeah, I'm not mad at it though. It did, you know, you guys can see it gave my skin a nice little glow, and I do like that there's no residue on my face. So if you've been wanting to try this, like I said, I got the little mini size version of it, which will be perfect for travel. But since that wasn't really a primer, I'm gonna go ahead and just go in with my typical little primer concoction. And I do have a more in-depth video coming for you guys, just talking about if you have oily skin, how I apply primers, primers that I mix together, why I do primer concoctions for my oily skin girls out there. I know a couple of you guys have been asking for that, so that is coming really soon. So I just applied my Fenty mattifying primer, and then next up I've been going in with a primer that I've actually had in my collection for a while. This is the Cover FX blurring primer, and I've really been enjoying this. I think the packaging on these is actually different now, but I've been trying to use mine up. So I started using this and I remembered how good it is. I actually forgot how good this primer is as like a blurring primer. I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but like look at this side of my face after applying that primer compared to this side. Like you can see all the pores right here, and then this side is just nice and smooth. Girl, this primer right here is so good. Like you see how that just smoothed it out, and I like to take it up under my eye too, because I do have some fine lines there, and it just helps to fill those in so that your concealer doesn't crease, and just kind of blend it out onto the face. And if you have like wrinkles on your forehead, you could even go in there. I don't really have any, but just for the sake of the video, I'll just add some in. But yeah, I have fallen back in love with this primer. I used to be obsessed with it, so I'm trying to finish it up so that I can get a fresh new one. But yeah, if you're looking for a nice smoothing primer, if you've had a hard time finding one that really smooths your pores, you should try that one out. And then of course, you guys know I always finish out with my Milk Hydro Grip. You guys see this is like almost empty. It's all the way up to here, but trust, I already have a backup because this is one primer I cannot live without. So I literally just rub it into the face, and then as soon as I start to feel it getting tacky, then I'll kind of just start to pat it in. And this primer is so good, you guys. It doesn't do a ton for oil control, which is why I apply those other oil controlling primers underneath, but it does do a lot for locking your makeup in place all day long. All right, so now that we have our primers on, the next thing that I'm gonna do is a little bit of color correcting. Today I'm gonna be using the Pat McGrath foundation. If you guys watched my most recent video, you guys know I had a really bad allergic reaction on my skin, and in all honesty, my skin has not been its best since I used that product. I never used to have issues with like acne or anything like that, and you guys can see like I still have several acne spots on my face, several dark spots on my face. Yeah, I just wish if I could turn back the hands of time, I would have never used that that product, because my skin wasn't perfect before, but it's significantly worse now. So I'm using this Black Radiance, I was about to say Bare Radiance, Black Radiance True Complexion HD Corrector. This one is in the shade, I don't know if these have shades, but this is the orange one. I think it had a shade on the plastic, which I hate when brands do that. Like when you take the plastic off, then you don't know what the shade is. Actually, I don't think this is the orange one. I think it's the, well, yeah, I think it's the orange one. They have an orange one and they have like a peachy colored one. I think this is the orange one. But just pick whichever one, you know, is best for your complexion. And then what I like to do is go in with a little bit of like a skin tone concealer. This one is the Too Faced Multi-Sculpting Concealer in the shade Butterscotch. And I just do like a little dot on all the areas where I put that color corrector, just so that it's not straight up orange on my face. I like to kind of make it a more orangey concealer tone. And I'm going in with my DSMD sponge, of course, to blend that out. And typically when I try a new foundation, I, you know, would want to test the coverage and not go in with like concealers and color correctors and stuff like that. But because I know my skin is not at its best, and I also know that this Pat McGrath foundation is a medium to full coverage foundation, I'm not even gonna play myself like that because I do have other stuff that I need to do today. And yeah, I'm just not gonna pretend like that Pat McGrath foundation is gonna be able to cover everything that I have going on, because I know it's not. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend all of this out. And I may still end up having to do a little bit more spot concealing afterwards, because you can still see the darkness in this area here and a little bit over here. But I don't want to OD before I see how the foundation applies and performs, and hopefully it is going to be the right shade for me. So before I go in with the foundation, I'm just going to set down that color corrector just so that it doesn't move when I start applying foundation on top. Still going in with my Urban Decay All Nighter. If you don't have this powder, girl, you need. For all skin tones, all skin types, this powder is so good. It's not over drying, and it is translucent. As you can see, it did not add any color to my face at all. It's literally just setting everything down. And this is one of the few powders that I have found that really help to lock my foundation in place and keep it there all day long. So this right here is OG Holy Grail for me. Love this. Definitely recommend that you pick it up. Alright, so now we're going to go in with Pat McGrath. I'm so excited about this, you guys. This is easily my most luxurious foundation that I have in my collection. It took me so long to pick it up, but of course, like I shared with you guys in my haul, I decided to go ahead and just throw it in the bag. So hopefully it matches me. I picked mine up in the shade Medium 18. And I think I picked this up just based on doing a shade match for other foundations that I had that I knew that matched me. It looks a little bit, oh well, it might work. I don't know. Ooh, I don't know. It's giving a little bit light, but we gonna see. So I'm using this Morphe E6. Oh no, I think it might work. It's a little light, but I think once it sets down, I don't know. I think it looks good actually. I think once it sets down and I apply other products on top, it will look really good. So I think because this is such a light, liquidy kind of formula, I'm not gonna blend it out completely with this brush. I'm feeling like a sponge might be more the vibe for this. And I'm not really a sponge kind of girl when it comes to foundations, but just the consistency of this is, I feel like it's giving sponge. So okay, so this is how the skin is looking, and I'm actually kind of sad that I waited this long to try this foundation because my skin looks so good. This foundation is very lightweight. It's giving some coverage, but I feel like it's a really good formula for the summertime because it literally just blended out and feels like I don't have anything on my face, which I am here for. Now I will say if I get any darker than this shade will not work for me. But I think it works for me right now, and it is a true medium coverage. So if you have things that you want to cover on your skin, you can see there's still my darkness peeking through here. You can probably still see over here. So it's a true medium coverage foundation, so don't be fooled. But what I'm going to do is just go in with my NARS concealer. This is the Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Caramel. And I'm just going to go over just those specific spots that need a little more help. So then we can keep that same light coverage feel, but just give a little extra coverage to the places that need it. And what I like to do is just blend out on the edges so that you keep the coverage that you placed, but the edges blend into the rest of the foundation. Okay, this looks pretty good. Come through skin. This makes me so happy because like I said, it's been so hard to like get my skin looking good with product on it lately. And I just feel like this looks so good. So, okay, next up I'm gonna go in with concealer. I don't have anything new to try. So I'm just going to use my regular concealers. I have been loving this Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Concealer. I have mine in the shade 3.6, which is a little bit light. So I've been mixing in a little bit of the Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer in the shade Sand, which is more of the shade that I prefer. But I really like the formula of the Makeup Forever one. So I just kind of apply a little bit of Sand and then a little bit of the Makeup Forever, and then I'm just gonna blend it all out. Okay, the skin is giving, honey. So before I set down my concealer under my eyes, I want to try out this product from Huda Beauty. And I actually forgot that I bought this, and I was going through all of my new makeup and I was like, oh my god, I forgot about this. So this is the Huda Beauty Tantour, and believe it or not, I've actually been getting more into like cream contouring, cream bronzing and contouring. I never used to be into creams like at all, but lately I've been trying it out and I'm kind of into it. So I got the shade Light, and these little cream bronzers from Huda Beauty, they run pretty deep. And so I saw another girl that is a similar complexion to me using this in one of her videos, and she said she got the shade Light. So I went ahead and got the shade Light also. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna be using my Morphe Y12, and it's basically just like a little flat kind of bronzer brush. And I like this because it helps me to get a nice chisel just right where I want the bronzer. So let me not OD, because I don't know how pigmented this is going to be. So what I like to do is just stamp it on where I want it. And I can see already it's definitely very warm, which, you know, it's kind of the whole idea for, you know, a bronzer. So I'm just going to keep building it up, bring it up on the forehead. I'm going to be careful on the forehead though, because I did set that area just a little, just to keep it from creasing while I'm making all the crazy faces that you make when you're blending out your concealer. So I'm going to try to keep it just around that powder, not so much on top of it. And I'm going to bring a little down the side of my nose. Okay, so it gave a little bit of warmth. Definitely not mad at it. I'm just going to go on top with my beauty blender and just kind of blend it all together. And then I think when I set it with a powder later, it'll all kind of come together. So yeah, I think I like that. I don't know that I would want to go much darker, because I feel like this is kind of giving that very natural bronze, which is kind of my vibe. If I wanted to go a little bit darker, I have other bronzers that I could go in with that could give me that depth. So I don't think it's necessary to buy another one of those in particular. But next up, I'm going to go ahead and set my under eye. And for that, I think I'm just going to use my Laura Mercier Translucent Honey. I haven't used this in a minute, so we'll go ahead and pull her out and set underneath the eye. Alright y'all, so I'm going to go ahead and let the face bake. Honestly though, I cannot get over. It's been a minute since I've seen my skin look this good. And I mean, I've been wearing makeup, I've been going out places, and like my skin really is giving. It's giving. So it makes me really excited because, like I said, I've had a rough little patch with my skin for the past 2 months, and I'm just realizing that I think less is more, because the Pat McGrath is giving less on the coverage, but then I just went in the areas that I needed it, and I feel like my skin actually looks better than when I go in with a super full coverage foundation. So I'm gonna let this bake. I even did a little bake on the nose, which I don't normally do, trying something a little bit different. I'm going to fill in my brows, and then I will be back to finish up the face with you guys. Alright guys, so brows are on. I used my Anastasia Brow Definer, which is a throwback for me because I haven't used it in forever. I've been all about the Benefit Goof Proof, but I tried it recently and I was like, oh, I forgot how much I like this. So I've been using it, so that's what I use to fill in my brows. I use the shade Dark Brown. So next I'm going to go ahead and dust off this bake, and I'm going to coat my brush in a little bit of this Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. I have mine in the shade number 2, which is medium. Looks like this. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of that to my brush and then use it to just dust off this extra powder that we don't need. I'm going to leave the nose for now, but I'm just going to dust off and also do a little bit down here on the jaw. Well, this isn't the jaw, but y'all know, underneath that contour line. That extra powder that's getting on the brush from dusting it off from under my eye, I'm just going to bring it right under there. And then next up, I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of my face. This probably won't come as any surprise to those of you guys that watch my videos on a regular basis, but I'm using the CoverGirl Full Spectrum Matte Ambition powder. I have mine in the shade Medium Tan Neutral, and this Flower Beauty brush I've been enjoying. I'm not sure which brush this is, but it's basically like a big powder brush. But it's really fluffy and it's also nice and dense. So we're just gonna set the face. Basically just kind of setting all the places that we didn't bake before we go in and do our contouring, which, since we've already highlighted, you can kind of already see, and we did that cream contour too. I forgot about that. You can already kind of see the contour happening very lightly, but we are going to intensify it a little. And for that, I'm going to be using this little palette. This is from Juvia's Place. This is the bronze palette in the shade Tan, and it comes with a mirror and 2 bronzer shades. I have really been enjoying this little palette, and I pretty much just dip a little into both shades, tap off the excess, and then use the side of my brush really lightly to just go in and set that cream bronzer as well as bronze the face. Like I said, a little bit of this goes a long way, so you know, you just want to use a light hand because it is pretty pigmented. But I like that they have kind of like a warmer light shade, and then this one's kind of like a more reddish tone shade. Together they work really nicely, but you also have the option to use them separately and just kind of mix and match the shades together to get the best bronze for your skin. I cannot get over, I mean, I did that. Y'all have to agree. I did that. I cannot get over how good my skin looks. Okay, and then I'm also gonna take a fluffy blending brush. This one is the Morphe E23, and I'm just gonna dip, I think, just mostly into, oh, you can't see, mostly into this lighter shade right here. I'll do a little tap into the darker one, tap off the excess, and we're gonna use that to just go along the nose, up into the brow here in the front, connected to that transition shade, and just kind of snatch the nose. Okay, nose is looking snatched. And I'm also going to just go over that a little bit with my beauty blender. So I'm going to go ahead and dust off that bake, and you can see it's giving me a nice nice little situation there. And then we're just going to go over it with my beauty blender so that everything is nice and blended in. And before we go in and set the powders, I'm gonna go ahead, oh, I just realized I forgot to use, I have this new Urban Decay All Nighter All Day Shine Control powder. I meant to use that to do my concealer. Oh well, I'll have to use this another time. Laura Mercier gave us what we needed. She got it done for us, but I completely forgot to use that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I think apply some blush. I don't really have anything new to try. I'm just making sure. So I'm just going to go in with this. I have been loving this. This is the Kaja blush and bronzer little stack. So I'm going to use the blush on this one. This one is in the shade number 2 Cloud Latte. I've shown this to you guys several times. I got it in my Sephora, my last little Sephora haul. So we're just going to apply that to the cheeks, blend it back into that contour. Alright, so before we finish up the face, I want to go ahead and finish up my lower lash line before I completely forget. So I'm going to go back into our little Patrick Ta palette, and I think I'm just going to pretty much mimic what I did in the crease on the lower lash line. So I'm going to start out first with this shade and just kind of buff that all over, and then I'm going to go in with the red shade, and I'm going to apply the dark brown shade closest to the waterline. Okay, so here's our lower lash line. I did not get the black liner. He came out with some liners too. I did get the cream one because I have a ton of black liners, and it's really hard to find a good cream liner for, you know, women of color. So I decided to get the cream one because it looked like it would be a really good shade. So I believe it is actually in the shade cream when it's nice and creamy. So this is what the shade looks like. It's a little blown out on camera, but it is a really nice kind of beige toned cream liner. So we're going to pop that in the waterline and brighten up the eye a little bit. I think a black would honestly like really smoke this out, but I kind of really wanted to use this liner, so, and I didn't think about that when I was creating the eye look. So we're going to go ahead and pop this in the waterline. Okay, so it definitely opened the eyes and brightened them a good bit. So before I apply my mascara, let's go ahead and do, I think I'm going to do a mixture of these two shades. This champagne shade and then that kind of peachy shade that we used on the lid. And we're going to pop that in the inner corner for our highlight. So the last thing that we have is highlighter and the lip. So I think I've actually really been obsessed with my Fenty Afternoon Snack Mo Honey highlighter. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and use that. But before I apply that to the skin, I am going to set it. And I'm going to be using my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Highly recommend this. So if you're looking for a really good setting spray, I stand behind this one and also the Urban Decay All Nighter. These two right here are my go-tos, my holy grails. Like, it's really no point to me in using any other setting spray because these two get the job done. So we're going to go ahead and set our face with this. And I did keep my eyes open because I don't want my mascara. I should have set my face before I apply my lower lash mascara, but I don't want it to bleed onto my under eyes. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go in with our Fenty highlighter. And I'm not going to go crazy with the highlight, but I do want a little something something. And I just mix both sides. And we're just going to apply that just a little bit right on the cheekbone. I put it right at the top of the blush, in between where the highlight and the blush meet. So the and by highlight I mean my concealer. So in between where my concealer highlight and the blush meet is where I'm placing this highlighter. And then I like to bring it, like when you turn your face to the light, you'll kind of see where the light is naturally hitting the curves of your face. So I just like to hit it right on those areas, kind of in that little C shape. And I'm gonna do, so I can show you on this side. You see when I turn my face, how the light just naturally hits right here? That's where I'm gonna apply the highlighter. So just a little tip in case you don't know where your highlighter should go. When you turn your face to the light, wherever the light kind of catches on your face, that's going to be where you want to put it. And then I'm also going to bring it down my nose, of course. I don't have to do a ton there because I baked, so it kind of created that highlight for me. And on my Cupid's bow. Alright, so last but not least is the lip. I don't have anything new to show you guys for the lip, but I am going to show you a lip combo that I have been obsessed with. I discovered it this week. And it's not with anything new, so these products you may already have. But I just happened to try it and I fell in love with it, and I've been wearing it ever since. And I think it'll really complement this whole vibe that we have on the eyes right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is line my lips with my ColourPop times Makeup Shayla BFF3 lip liner. Okay, and I did go ahead and fill in the lip as well. It'll just help the lip color last a little bit longer. And then after that, I'm going in with this from Fenty. This is the Stunna Lip Paint in the shade Unbutton. And I'm literally only going to apply this like 1 or 2 swipes on my bottom lip, and then I'm just going to press my lips together to blend it out. Okay, so that's what that's looking like. Very cute, very cute. So I'm gonna top it off with a gloss. Now this gloss is limited edition. This is the Fenty Cake Shake gloss. It was part of their little minis in their holiday collection. But you could probably also use maybe like hot chocolate, or, well no, hot chocolate is kind of dark. Maybe you could go in with the original Fenty Glow, and maybe I'll do that just so that y'all can see how it would look with something that you actually have at home. So, or something you can still get your hands on. But if you have the Cake Shake gloss, this is the one that I would recommend, and I'll just give you guys like a quick little swatch so that you can see. It's so pretty. It's basically like a champagne kind of mauve toned gloss with shimmer in it. This is what the swatch looks like. So we have Fenty Glow here, and then we have Cake Shake here. So you can kind of see that Cake Shake has more of like a brown tone to it, and then Fenty has more of a pink. And we do have a little pink vibe going on with the eyes. So I'm just gonna make the sacrifice for y'all and not use something that I know you can't buy currently. But if you have Cake Shake, this would be the one to go with. So I'm going to go in with Fenty Glow, the original Gloss Bomb. And we're just going to do a little on the bottom lip, not too much, because these are pretty glossy. Just bring it up on the top. And that's the lip. Cute, cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, pull myself together a little bit, and then I will be back to give you guys a final wrap up on all the products that I used, and also just a quick little final look at how the whole look came together. Alright guys, so I am back, and this is the finished look, hair and everything pulled together. I just pulled my robe back up because I didn't feel like going to put on a shirt. So yeah, this is how we are looking. This is how the makeup is looking. Honestly, I am obsessed with it. I love how it came out. The foundation is giving. Like, I have been asleep. I don't even understand why I haven't been using it. I have literally had this for at least 2 months. At least 2 months. Like I was telling you guys earlier in the video, I just haven't been super inspired to sit down and film anything since the last video that I filmed about the allergic reaction that I had on my skin to a skincare product. And yeah, like, I just have been almost low-key like traumatized, and it just kind of took me out of my flow of wanting to film because my skin was just looking so bad. I just wasn't really inspired to do anything that required me to sit down and show me putting stuff on my face. But even though my skin is still healing, it's still not perfect, I really love how these products are laying on my face. It just looks so good. Like, this is the first time that I've put makeup on my face since that situation, and I feel like my skin actually looks kind of good. So I'm really happy with everything that I used. I absolutely love this eyeshadow palette. If you have been on the fence about picking it up, I would definitely recommend. The mattes in this palette blended beautifully, as you guys saw. Like, the blend is seamless. The shimmers in this palette are gorgeous. Like, my eye is literally like I don't even know if the camera is doing it any justice, but looking in the mirror, it just has a beautiful shift to it, and my eyes are just like sparkling. I love the tones. I love the packaging. I love the bases that he has in here. They did actually do a really good job of giving me a really smooth base, even though I applied concealer to even out my eyelid beforehand. These shadows blended so beautifully on top of these. The only thing that I would, if I had to give a criticism, not really a criticism, but the only thing that I would have loved to have seen is maybe a shade a little bit lighter than this one. I feel like these are pretty similar in tone, so I wish that maybe there was like one a little bit lighter and then, you know, one that was still that kind of deeper brown tone. But regardless, this one that I use, it worked really well. I like that it has this little flap over top of it to keep the creams from getting powders inside of them. And yeah, I really liked the shadows that I used. I tried to use as many as possible just so you guys could see how they perform. And the eye look, in my opinion, came out beautifully. I am obsessed with this foundation. I could literally go on and on and on about it, but it's just kind of blowing my mind that it's medium coverage, because I never gravitate. I'm like a full coverage girl or nothing at all. So I never gravitate to things in the middle. But it's kind of blowing my mind that this is a medium coverage foundation and it looks like this on my face. I think it really helped that I just did that one even layer and I didn't try to build it up. I just concealed on the areas that needed it. But my face feels like there's nothing on it. It feels lightweight. This would be a really, really great foundation for those of you guys that want something a step up from the tinted moisturizer or the skin tint fad or the skin tint trend that is going right now. If you want something a little bit of a step up from that, this would be a really great option. I know it's expensive. That's what took me so long to purchase it, but it's definitely worth your coins. And like I said, if you are my foundation twin, I picked mine up in the shade medium 18. But yeah, I loved everything that I tried in this video. I had already been using this behind the scenes. I just hadn't used it on camera. Love this. Definitely recommend. This is a more affordable product you can find at Ulta. I also really liked the Huda Beauty Tantour. Like I said, I have mine in the shade light, and everything that I use in the video, as always, I will have it linked for you down below. So if you want to check out any of the products that I mentioned, I will have it like so super convenient for you guys. You can just check the list in the description of all the products that I used, and there will be links that will take you to the sites if you want to save them to your favorites or anything like that. So yeah, that is all that I have for you guys for today's video. If you made it all the way to the end, you are the real MVP. Thank you so much for sticking it out all the way to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. It helps me a lot in the algorithm. And of course, if you feel moved to do so, you can share it on your social media for anyone that you think might be interested in seeing a look like this, or others that maybe have purchased this palette and need a little inspiration for how they can use it. And yeah, that's pretty much all that I have for you guys. So thank you so much again for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see y'all very soon in my next video.